So what's up, my go-getters? You already know it's Wednesday. You can call it the Hump Day Wednesday, but I like to make sure every Wednesday I give you a dosage of motivation, inspiration from some dope featured go-getters that I have on here to get you over the hump every Wednesday, okay? Now, don't forget to follow us and like us, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Facebook, on iTunes. It's definitely YouTube, and also now on SoundCloud. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at all things ADRI.V, the Go Getter. So this week, my featured Go Getter is this woman I got a chance to meet while I was interning at BET, and I promise you, BET breathed the most Go Getters that I know. And she was always a lovable person, but she was also the individual that would take you under her wing and teach you so much. And she did it with a smile each and every time. And even when she asked you to do some stuff like, oh, I don't really want to do this, she made it seem so great because she smiled along with it. But this woman has taken her career to so many levels, and now she is a chief angel in charge. And you'll get a chance to know all about that and what that is about as we welcome to the mic and to the G Code my girl, Miss Yazmin Ramos. Hey, Yaz.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for having me on. It's such an honor. What a great introduction.
You know, it is an honor to have had the chance to work under you and be guided by you, you know? You're dope.
You know, it's so funny because prior to this interview, I was actually thinking about the last time you interviewed me, which is when I first started my job at BET as a production assistant. Do you recall this?
Yes, I do. I had you like in a corner and you put up like all these props in the back. You
yes.
Like, wait. That is so funny. You sure enough like, we gotta have props. We gotta have something in the background. We need good stuff.
Exactly. True producer that I was for the beginning.
Yes. Now, as we talk about BET, you know, I got a chance to meet you there, but tell the people, you know, who do not know you, you know, exactly who you are and what is it you do?
Yes, okay, so I am a producer right now at the Wendy Williams Show, and honestly, it feels so good to say that because I actually was recently promoted to my position as producer. Thank you so much. A lot of hard work went into it, so, you know, it's not as glamorous as it may sound. You know, it's hard work and dedication, and you have to persevere through a lot of things. You know, it's challenging at times, but, you know, as long as you're passionate about it, you definitely can succeed and go up the ladder just like I was able to. You know, I started at the Wendy Williams Show in 2009. I started as a production assistant. And then from production assistant to associate producer to now producer. So it feels really good to be working on a daytime talk show. You know, it's live. So anything can happen, but we all have like a really good system. We work well together and we produce great content. And, you know, we're #1. So that's currently what I'm doing right now.
That is so dope. And like, oh man, you just said it in itself. You know, you worked your way up the ladder, and knowing that, you know, how did you or decide to want to get in this industry? Because as you know, it is definitely a cutthroat one and it takes a lot of work.
It definitely is cutthroat. You know, you have to be ready to work when you get in this industry. Like, you have to realize that your work now becomes your life. You no longer can hang out with your friends. You no longer can have your own free time. You now are your job, pretty much, especially in the beginning. Because in the beginning, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. You know, it's pretty much like who's going to last the longest, you know, because when you intern, which is the best way to get started in this industry is by getting an internship at a production company that you pretty much, you know, like, that's your interest, or a television show, radio, whatever it is. But you have to intern first. And as an intern, you're also competing with other interns. You know, everyone wants to get a job. That's like mainly the goal. But it's like, who's willing to work the hardest to get the job done? You know, so you have to be that intern that gets there before everyone else. You have to be that intern that leaves, so is the last one to leave the office. You know, you have to think outside the box and be willing to do things that other people don't want to do, you know? So that's pretty much what I did. That's how I got started into this industry. I've always had a passion for like entertainment and television. You know, I was watching like Richard Day, the Ricky Lake Show, Sally Jessica Raphael, which are throwbacks.
They are.
You know, what's his name? Springfield. And all of those talk shows. So, that's pretty much how I got into it. I always wanted to, like, you know, be able to experience it on my own and, like, really figure out how do you produce this show, like, what goes into it. And that was just my main goal. And I started at, you know, as majoring it in communications at college. I went to City College, and that was pretty much how I first got into it. I really love, like, the whole set life and, like, working behind the camera and writing scripts and working in the control room. Those were all very fascinating to me, and I was very happy that I was able to experience it hands-on. So I knew right there and then this is something that I actually was just, like, put on earth to do, and I wanted to produce from the very beginning.
You know what? And it's so beautiful because so many people, you know, have not a clue what is it they want to do. And just like you said, you know, you wanted to produce from the very beginning and you understood the work that it took to really climb up those ladders, and especially starting off with being an intern. And, you know, for me, I get the privilege of following you on social media, and you know, you make work life and your set life look so fun and, like you said, so glamorous. But who really knows the work that goes behind it? You know, inside the G Code, we talk about the pretty. So the pretty is, I get to see you look so dope on Instagram, social media, and that you're having a
Thank
great,
you so much.
You're having a ball, right? But the ugly side,
it's the ugly side for sure.
And it's just like, how are you able to overcome when the ugly kicks in? Because, you know, there's so much prettiness to it, but when the ugliness of success comes, which can be any kind of adversity, like, how are you able to overcome that and knowing that this is a goal I want to achieve and this is the area I want to be in, but so many things come at us in life? Like, how are you able to overcome, you know, any difficulties that you may have had?
Well, it's so funny you mention that, because one of the things that I overcome, like, every single day is pretty much working at the Wendy Williams Show and producing a segment called Ask Wendy, right? So Ask Wendy is a very arduous segment because you're dealing with regular people who have never been on television before, you know? So you're pretty much helping these people feel comfortable with the fact of asking a personal question to Wendy on camera in front of everyone and doing it in a way that's very entertaining, you know, and getting their point across within a matter of a minute, you know? Yeah. So it's very difficult for people to actually grasp all at once within at least an hour of, like, rehearsing prior, you know? So that's one of the segments that makes me realize, like, this is something that I really love because it's so hard to put together, just because, you know, sometimes there are days where the questions are great. Sometimes there are days where the questions are in between. Sometimes there are days where the questions are just not good, you know? Yeah. And you can't just, like, say, oh, I can't do anything today. I can't produce this segment because there aren't any good questions. You got to make something good out of it, you know? It's television, you know? So you have to find those questions out there. You got to get it out of those people, you know? So the only way you're going to succeed by doing that is passion, because you have to be passionate and driven to want to accomplish the challenge of being able to produce something that may not be easy for you today, you know, and still be able to produce a really good segment just because you are dedicated to making sure that you're able to provide for the show, you know. You understand, like, what the ultimate goal is here. You want to just produce great content, you know. You want to make sure that the show looks good, that it's entertaining to everyone, the host, you know, the viewers at home, the audience, all of the above, you know, and that takes drive. You have to have it. If you don't have it, you're not going to make it.
I so believe that, because especially in this kind of industry, if you don't have that drive to want to succeed, the drive to want to keep going, it's like you have no business here. Now, was there ever a point, because I know for me sometimes in my pursuit of my dreams and my goals, you come to a point where you're just like, you know, I give up. I want to quit. Things are not happening how I want them to happen. Yeah, you know, I've worked so hard. You know, why haven't this opportunity come for me? Has there ever been a point in your life, like you said, you know, you have all the drive, but sometimes it's like you're low on gas?
Of course. And that's where your personal life comes into effect, you know, because we're all human. We all feel, you know, we all have emotions. We all have our ups and downs. And unfortunately, you know, you can work in the career of your choice and be passionate about it, but your job is not your life. You still have your personal life, you know, and there are times when you'll have to deal with, like, trials and tribulations in your personal life that you're going to have to overcome you know, despite the fact that things may seem like it's not going, you know, the way you want it to go, but you know at the end of it what you're striving for,
right.
and you know what your ultimate goal is, and you're not going to let anything get in the way to get that. So for me, I had to deal personally, you know, my family experienced a fire, you know, in my family's home, you know, and that was very difficult for us at the time. We lost everything, you know, and I still had to go to work, you know, and still smile,
right.
and still work hard. And my job was like very helpful and supportive throughout the entire thing. Thank God for them, you know, but at the same time, I still had to do my job.
Right.
I still had to be on my A game. Although I may have been living through a nightmare, I still had to make sure that I didn't let it affect my work, you know, because that's really what it boils down to. It's just your job. You know, and despite whatever it is that you're going through that may be like taking a toll on you, you still have to rise above it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's not easy. But if you are passionate and you know that this is what you want to do and you're willing to make sacrifices and compromise and do things that you may not be happy about doing at that particular moment because you woke up and you had a bad day today, you know, you still have to make sure that you just like, you know what, I'm not going to let it get the best of me. I have a job to do, you know, and get it done. And that's pretty much what it is.
My goodness. And now, were there ever some tricks and tips that you, or things that you had to do to kind of, you know, push yourself out the bed? Because I've been there to where, like, your personal life is a hot mess and you still got to throw on that face and smile and just say everything is good, you know, in the front. But, you know, inside you're crippling. Like, what was it that you had to really tell yourself, you know, to keep going despite thereof?
You know what? It's now that we're talking about like the G code, which is like girl code, you know, it's like being a woman, you know, sometimes we deal with relationships, you know, and sometimes we have like, you know, those relationships that you're hoping is going to like lead to something great actually, you know, expire unexpectedly, you know, and you have to deal with that while you're working. And that's something that I actually experienced with, you know, years ago, you know, and that was something that was very hard for me because it's hard to like not let your emotions get the best of you, you know. So for me, you know, there was a time when I was working and it was hard for me to wake up in the morning and actually, you know, I had to wake up early in the morning, girl. I have to be at work at 7:30 in the morning. So most times I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day, you know, and it's hard. And there are those mornings where you don't want to get up out of bed because you're dealing with a breakup, you know, and you're just not feeling like you're ready to smile and give face and, you know, and be, you know, driven to like produce great content today. You know, you just want to stay home and cry and not get out of bed. But that's where you have to implement faith, I say. Some people aren't spiritual, but I am. So for me, that's what helps me. I believe in God. And I know that when those times I don't feel like I want to get out of bed, that's just the devil trying to get the best of me. And I'm not going to allow it to happen. So I got to make sure that I just say a prayer and just know that I can make it through the day. And I just got to think about it in a positive way, you know, and maybe I'll just like bless somebody today, you know, with like a sandwich to someone that may not, you know, homeless, that can't provide for themselves. Something to make me feel good and make them feel good at the same time, and still just not pay attention to the negative thoughts of me not wanting to like get out of bed, for instance.
You know what you said is so, you know, so key, right on. And some people aren't spiritual, some people aren't religion, but faith is an entire different kind of substance, right? You know, that gives you the push and really allows you to see forward and believe that something better is on the way. And like you said, you have the great idea of wanting to bless someone. And, you know, as we move off of that and move right into this thing that I really love that you're doing, and it's called Polished Angels. And speaking of blessing someone and having faith, where did Polished Angels come from, and can you tell us about it? Because the word on the street is you are indeed the chief angel in charge.
Thank you so much. Well, Polished Angels, it's so funny because it actually was something so small that turned into something so big. And it was probably about in like 2012 or 13. No, around 2013, actually, to be honest with you. 2013, I was volunteering for the Christmas cantata at my church. And unfortunately, because we were working on the Christmas cantata, my pastor didn't think that we were going to be able to still do Christmas carols at a nursing home that we would go to every year. So I personally felt bad about that and was just like, okay, well, what if these seniors actually look forward to us going there and singing Christmas carols, and we're not going to be able to make it this year because we're working on our Christmas cantata? You know, what can I do to still make them happy? And, you know, during the holidays, that's still a really nice gesture. And that's when I started to think to myself, well, I love painting nails. I love giving manicures. You know, let me just go ahead and go to the nursing home, bring my nail polishes, polish some nails, you know, talk to the seniors, find out what's going on with them, smile at them, make them feel good, pamper them, you know, and just like, you know, be that person to visit them for the day. And it just like went so well because I posted on Instagram and everybody just wanted to actually get involved and volunteer. Wow. And since then, I have visited various nursing homes. You know, I've been to nursing homes in Brooklyn, in New Jersey, in the Bronx, and there's one nursing home in particular that happens to be my favorite, which is called the Bronxwood Nursing Home. And I go there at least once a month, and I know the seniors by name. You know, they acknowledge me as soon as I walk in the door. They want to tell me their stories.
Right.
And they, you know, encourage me and they inspire me, and I enjoy being around them, you know? It's like a win-win situation.
And, you know, like, you're giving back in such a major way when it comes to, you know, giving to our seniors. That is a population that sometimes is not the key area we give back to because they've given us so much, and being amongst them, you could gain so much wisdom. And it's just like, you took this idea, not even idea, your love for painting, because I remember painting your nails. I remember you used to switch up your nail color like every day.
Yes.
Before we were interning, and I was just like, how does she does? Like, you would switch your nail color up every day.
I've always had to think about my nails since I was younger, since I was like 8 years old. Not even, maybe even younger than that. I had to have been like about 5. And I remember I used to want to paint my nails red, and my mother was completely against it. And I had an older cousin who was really into nails, and she would like buy Kiss products, which is a very popular nail brand,
right,
and like do acrylics at home. And she was very into it. She would do intricate work, and I would like admire her work because I was just so into it, but I couldn't unfortunately do the things that she was doing because I was too young at the time. So when I was able to get my first full set at a nail salon, which is when I was about 14 years old, and that's when airbrush was like popping.
Oh, airbrush.
I got the airbrush design on every finger, and it was like 3 for 10 fingers, and I got like the Mickey Mouse design for my freshman year of high school, and I was just hooked from that point on. Like, I would do little jobs, like I even stole corn at one point at festivals just to make enough money to get my nails done. Like, my nails was a serious thing for me, and they still are, you know?
And I know they are because, you know, the blessing thing, you know, from you creating your organization, Polished Angels, starting with you just having a desire of painting nails, you are now a contributor to Nail It magazine.
Yes, I was working at Nail It magazine, about last year. That is correct. I had a column. It was a street style column for Nail It magazine where I featured about 10 women who were fashionable and also had great nails and talked about them. They mentioned, like, you know, what their style was like. They talked about their nail techs and what inspired them to get the design that they had on their nails. So that was a magazine I worked for about a year.
Wow. And what about, I remember seeing a quick segment, I remember you posting about it, even on the Wendy show, you had a segment on there, like on her website?
Yes, that is correct. I have a blog on the Wendy show called Nail Candy.
Wow.
It was a blog that I worked on, and I would feature celebrities backstage and speak to them about their nails, because like Brandy, for instance, Keke Palmer, Sierra, Danielle Brooks, they were all really into their nails, you know, and they had like fancy nails, like rhinestones or different kind of designs. And I would just chat with them backstage about what inspired them to get that look. And they gave me great interviews. And it was really cool. It was a really great experience. It's like so funny how something so small, once again, turned into something so big, you know? So you never know when you can work on something that might just be very little to you, that is like you don't even want to like dive into it because you feel like, oh, I'm going to just put that on the back burner.
Right.
It's such a little thing right now. But that one thing that you put on the back burner, you may regret it one day, because that might be the one thing that makes you, you know, very rich, you know, that feeds your soul, you know, like those are the things you have to pay attention to, you know. And I just always knew I had a passion for nails. Like, I knew I wasn't the best at it. I wasn't be a nail tech, of course, you know. Like, I'm not that girl, you know, but I knew that I was at least good at polishing. And I love nail polish. Like, I love the colors that they have. Like, I'm really into it. It's so small, but again, it could be so big in so many other people's lives, like the seniors. They come up to me and they're like, I haven't gotten a manicure in years.
Wow.
Like, thank you so much for doing this for me. You know, it makes them feel good. Because it reminds them of those days when they were younger and they would actually go to the nail salon and get their nails done. And now the nail salon is coming up. And that's my main, you know, concept.
And it's so, like you just said, you know, you really hit it right on the head when it comes to the G code. Not only is it the girl code, but it's also about like those G codes that people drop on you that you're allowed to use for life. And, you know, you really hit it right on the head when it comes to the thing that, you know, you just do on a regular basis, or you have a love for and a knack for, that, you know, you just like, you know what, maybe I'll take this and run with it, or maybe I'll sit it to the back. And then, you know, one day it's just like, man, I should have took that and ran with it. And I'm so happy to see that you are not only flourishing in your passion in both areas, but you are really living a dream, which is really, really dope that so many people don't have the opportunity to live, you know. And along your journey of pursuing your dream, and I'm sure you have so many more to pursue, what are some G codes, you know, some life codes, some lessons that you can share with other people that are in the very same pursuit as you, and trying to identify and allow their passions to become vehicles to push them into their dreams?
Well, one thing, of course, is never give up. No matter what it is, don't listen to anyone that says that you can't do it. Because for me, when someone says I can't do something, or says that, no, it's not going to work out, that encourages me and inspires me to push even harder. Not to necessarily prove them wrong, but to prove myself right. Even more, you know, because I know within myself I can do it. So if you know within yourself that you can do this, you were born to do this, you're talented, you're gifted at it, you do it, despite who may say you can't do it. And then the other thing is to get a mentor. Mentors are so important. You want to make sure you have someone that you look up to that's already in the career that you're, you know, hoping to have one day. So this way they can lead you in the right direction. And you most importantly want to network. You know, networking can get you so far in this career, because that's honestly the one way to get into it, especially because if you know someone who's already working at a place that you have an interest in, that's your foot in the door. You know, so you want to make sure you make relationships with people who are working in the careers that you have interest in, you know. And then the other thing is, just know that when you're starting in your industry and in the career of your choice, you're going to have to make sure that you put your personal life to the side a little bit, because people in high positions want to hire those people who are willing to give up a dinner plan that they had to stay at the office late, because it's going to come down to that. You know, you're going to have a plan with a friend of yours at a restaurant at 6:30 p.m. and guess what? Something came up last minute and you have to attend to it. And unfortunately, you're going to have to cancel that dinner plan, you know, because executives don't want to hire that person that's not going to cancel and that's going to, that person that's going to like go over there and not stay at the office late. You know, they want someone that's going to be able to like be there.
Absolutely, and make the necessary sacrifices. Well, Yaz, I am just delighted, and thank you so much for coming and sharing your G codes with us. And I know you have to go, and I appreciate your time because we went over a little bit. What is it? We discussed, but I want them to really have a chance to get an idea of who you are, what you're about, and really learn about Polished Angels and everything that you're doing. So if you feel free, share your website, Instagram,
Thank
Facebook.
You so much. I
appreciate
it. This is a true honor. It's so late. I am so tired, but I just couldn't wait to be a part of it because it's so important that, women out there especially get to feel encouraged by someone who is already doing something that they may have interest in,
Absolutely.
Like doing any kind of job. So what you're doing is great, just spreading the word to everybody.
Thank you.
So
yes.
People can follow me on Instagram at Jazzolina, and I have a Polished Angels website, which is polishedangels.com. It's pretty simple.
Oh, wonderful. Very, very simple. And if, I could ever jump on and help polish, I'm okay. I do a little good job. I'm down for rolling with the angels.
Anytime.
Absolutely. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for checking into the G Code with my girl Yaz. You heard her. Make sure you follow her. And if you want to support the movement, you can reach out to her, and I'm sure she will welcome you with open arms. And if you got some connects with some nail polish, she'll take that too. Now, don't forget to subscribe yet again to the G Code on iTunes, YouTube, and also SoundCloud. And follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All things ADRI.V, the Go Getta. And share, continue to spread the word on the G Code, and encourage to allow anybody who feels like they need to hear this to listen, okay? So in true fashion and always, welcome to the G Code.